Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing Dumper Misses You, Text Excuses. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing Dumper Misses You, Text Excuses. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it can be very exciting to receive a text from your ex. Sometimes though, after reading the text, it can seem that your ex was only contacting you for a necessary reason and not because they missed you. Or is this really true? Was this actually the case? In today's podcast, I'm going to discuss 3 types of text that a dumper might claim to be for another reason, when in reality, it can be a positive sign that they miss their dumpee. So let's get straight into this, and number 1 is asking if they have left an unimportant item. So if you receive a text from your dumper and they are asking whether you have one of their items, you need to be considering, is this an important item or is this something not necessary? An important item would class as something financially valuable, sentimental, or legal. For example, it could be something such as a tax letter, or maybe a very high-value possession that they have left at your house. Quite possibly, it could be something sentimental, like a photo. But what happens if your ex texts you and asks whether they have left their socks at your house? Is this really necessary? Even if they come across as if they believe it's very important and very necessary, you have to consider, would something such as your ex leaving their socks at your house be so important that they need to reach out to you? You have to consider that at the end of a relationship, the dumper is feeling a very low level of romantic emotional attraction for their partner. That is why they end the relationship. That is why they become the dumper. Somebody in this position is not likely to want to get in contact with their former partner unless it's absolutely necessary. If they do so for a reason that's not completely necessary, then this suggests that in the interim time between breakup and now, romantic emotional attraction has begun to grow once more. Why would somebody who has ended a relationship, who wants to move forward with their own life in a different direction, reach out to their dumpee for something as pointless as asking whether or not they have left their socks at their former partner's house? Now, of course, this doesn't just have to be socks. It could be anything, which you then think to yourself, you know what, this isn't necessary. This isn't a legal requirement. This isn't very valuable financially, and it has no sentimental value. Why are they reaching out? The reality is that most dumpers who reach out for an unnecessary reason are doing so because they have grown romantic emotional attraction since the breakup, and they are now at the point where they are feeling intrigued and missing their ex. They therefore want to reach out to their ex using an indirect, direct approach. It's indirect because they are claiming that it is for a different reason other than they are missing their former partner, and it is direct because, of course, it is a direct message. But as the dumpee, you need to be thinking to yourself, was this really necessary? Now look, even if you believe that your former partner is reaching out to you because they miss you, you shouldn't call them out on this. This is something which they are likely to become very defensive about, and it will not help your cause. What I suggest you do, whether you believe something is necessary or unnecessary, is behave in a positive way, answering their question and seeing if you can grow the conversation by tagging on your own question at the end of your answer. So whether or not this item is truly important, if you want to try to get your ex back, it's so important that you remain stable-minded, positive, and try and grow the conversation. Look, even if it was a genuinely important question about something which they honestly needed and something which wasn't because they was missing you at that time, you never know. If you respond in a positive way, ask a question when you answer, you might just grow this conversation. You might showcase to your ex that you are now stable-minded and you are someone who is able to hold a conversation. And you never know where this might lead. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast of dumper misses you, text excuses. And the second excuse is asking how your pet is. Now, when two people are in a relationship, there is a good chance that one or both people will have their own pets that they bring to this relationship. Sometimes a couple will get a pet or more together when they are in a relationship. But once the breakup takes place, one person must look after the pet. And from what I have seen, this tends to be the person who has the stronger bond. Now, this doesn't mean that your former partner didn't care for your pet, but what it does show, if you are the person who is looking after your pet now, that you likely had a stronger bond than your former partner. And if you are the dumpee, this can be very useful for you if and when you hear from your ex asking how your pet is. From the research that I've done, most dumpees who keep a pet after a breakup are slightly surprised that they don't hear from their dumper asking about the pet. But it is my belief that this is because the dumper, in this instance, the person who is no longer looking after the pet, didn't have a stronger bond with the pet as the person who now looks after it. Now, of course, this can't be said for every situation. Sometimes both former partners love their pets equally, and it is a challenge to decide who looks after that pet. But what I would say from my research is that in most instances, this is decided upon, and the person who doesn't look after the pet isn't upset in the long term. It is something they can manage easier because their bond wasn't as strong. And therefore, if you do hear from your ex asking about your pet, I would suggest there is a good chance that this is actually because they want to speak with their dumpee. Now, of course, this isn't something you should challenge your former partner on, because I can't say for certain whether this is the case. But I would just say, if you're a dumpee and you are looking after your pet, and the dumper reaches out to you and asks how your pet is, just think to the back of your mind that this might be an indirect direct approach. It might be a way round of communicating with you without letting you know the honest, genuine reason. Again, I can't say this for certain, and there will be some people who reach out to their ex because they genuinely care and want to know about their former pet. But from my research, most people who don't end up with a pet didn't care as much as the person who does look after the pet now. And hence, if you are a pet owner, if you are somebody who is looking after your former joint pets, and then your dumper contacts you asking you about the pet, I would suggest there is a strong possibility that they are wanting to speak with you more than asking about your pet. But using this as a reason to start to communicate. Again, if you receive this communication, respond positively, answer their question, and then try and grow the conversation. Certainly don't call them out on this. Certainly don't say, well, you didn't seem to care about the pet previously, why now? Don't make an argument, don't make drama, but just think to the back of your mind, there is a chance that this might be because they miss you more than their pet. So now let's move into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper misses you, text excuses. And excuse number 3 is asking if you gave them a missed call. In this situation, a dumper will contact their dumpee and in their own words ask if they have tried to call them and have they missed a call from their former partner. The dumpee should think about things logically and realise the likelihood is that the dumper would have known if you was trying to contact them. Most dumpers will not delete the number of their dumpee, and hence if it pinged up on their phone, it should still say your name. Additionally, if you're not the type of person to call on a withheld number, then why on earth would your dumper think that it was you who gave them a missed call? Be very suspicious, because this could be the type of situation where your dumper wants to speak with you and just didn't know how to contact you first. Again, if you want to try to get your ex back, this can be wonderful news, and you can try and grow this conversation, making sure you don't challenge them or make them look silly by pointing out of the reasons why on earth they should know that it wasn't you who gave them this missed call. I mean, the likelihood is that they never had a missed call in the first place. Occasionally, this could be legitimate. There could be the odd reason, whether maybe you have changed your number, maybe you often call on withheld numbers, or very occasionally indeed, the dumper may have deleted your contact details and genuinely couldn't remember your number. However, it seems to me in most instances, if a dumper contacts their dumpee and says to them, look, sorry, did I miss your call? Then if you think of it logically, if they can text you on this number, then how on earth can't they figure out whether you was the one who called them? Like I said, withheld numbers can be a problem sometimes, or maybe your dumper will contact you on social media and say they've no longer got your contact details and a number pinged up, they wasn't sure if it was you. They will give all the excuses they can, but I would suggest that in most instances, if a dumper asks, have you tried to call them? Then the reality is that they want to speak with you. Stay cool, calm, collected, keep a stable mindset, and move forward the conversation as best you can. Again, on all of these points, don't call out your dumper, don't make suggestions that they are trying to contact you for other reasons, because one, it could be the rare instance where it is true what they're actually trying to say and ask, but secondly, if you do this and it was a game they was playing, this could scare them off. They will likely not admit the truth anyway, and you might chase them away. If you want to try to get your ex back, you don't want to be embarrassing your ex at this stage. Just play along, keep things moving forward, and see how things develop. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.